Okay, so if you thought you were the only one who could hang a piece in the opening stage, you were right. God, what am I saying? Okay, let's start afresh. If you thought you were the only one who could hang a piece in the opening stage, you were wrong. I just made a live correction there. Anyways, happy Sunday to you guys. Today, I'm gonna show you the mistakes that you make when you are playing against a king's pawn opening. Precisely why you should avoid playing the Philidor Defense. The way you play it. And I'm also going to show you that you are not the only one who hangs a piece in the opening stage. Well, other strong players and grandmasters do at times. Trust me, and I'll show you those games as well. So white begins with pawn to e4 and then you go pawn to e5. Then they play knight to f3. If you are a beginner or an intermediate level player, you might be familiar with this response here. Pawn to d6 in an effort to defend your pawn on e5. Stop it. Avoid playing this move, please. I'm not saying the Philidor defense is a bad defense. It is a very good defense, which has also been played by super grandmasters, by the way. But just because these guys do play these openings, it doesn't mean that they are for everyone, okay? I just feel the Philidor defense is a bit passive and very open to many traps. One of which I'm going to show you right now. And I'm also going to show you the right way of playing the Philidor defense. That is, if you still want to continue playing it. Anyways, pawn to d6 blocks our dark squared bishop. Oftentimes we like developing our dark squared bishop on c5 and sometimes even on b4. Especially if there is no pawn on d2. So that's already one disadvantage of the Philidor defense. You will see most of your opponents playing pawn to d4. Now wait a second, e takes d4 is the main move and I'm going to show you how that goes, but let me just show you what most people do and why they lose, okay? So I'm a strong believer of knight d7 and I covered this in the video that has popped up in the card above. It's a position that comes from the rat defense. You need to watch that video. You are missing out, guys, if at all you haven't already. So the whole idea is that if d takes e5, we will take back with our d pawn and we'll be good. That's just another way of playing pawn to e4, e5. And this knight performs a great job to hide our queen from getting captured, okay? Covering our queen. So the move that you're going to see white playing here is bishop c4. Bishop c4 sets up a very hidden trap that you cannot even understand at this stage. So one thing that you need to know is that both knight gf6 and bishop e7 are blunders. And it is hard to tell why they are blunders because it's still unclear what white is planning to do here. Let me just show you how some really strong players managed to hang their pieces in the opening stage with this line. So the first game was between GM Naidish Arkadish, a 27-16 rated super grandmaster. This was played over the board. His opponent was Bogart Zeushko, a 24-33 strong player as well. Played in the year 2016. And black played bishop e7 here, which is a long-term positional mistake, but one that is hard to see, okay? So white went on to take on e5 with his d-pawn, and then black played d takes e5. Another bad move. Well, why is this bad? Because all that white needed was to play queen d5. And that's the whole idea behind bishop c4. So after queen d5, believe you me guys, there is absolutely nothing that black can do to save his f7 pawn. And probably this may even be checkmate after something like knight h6 in an effort to protect the weak f7 pawn. Cause here now white can just simply grab this knight. And if you foolishly take the bishop, then well, there comes a mate on f7. Queen takes f7 checkmate. So this is just how bad things can become when you don't know how to play the Philidor defense very well. And that's what happened, by the way, in the game that we're analyzing. A 2400 rated chess player managed to lose a piece in the opening stage. Here he played bishop b4, the only sensible move. And after pawn to c3, well, it is quite clear that that dark squared bishop was a dead piece. Anyways, the game still continued and black was not able to get back his piece or whatsoever. White was able to win this game easily. So that's not how we play chess, you guys. Stop playing the Philidor defense this way. Let me show you another game. Now this game was played between GM Ali Reza, who was rated 2702 at the time, and I guess it's Krishenko, Oskripchenko, a 2403 rated chess player who played the same move here, bishop e7, which is a long-term positional mistake as we saw in the previous game. So Alireza gladly took the pawn on e5, and then after black took back on e5, well, a big blunder, which is hard to see, quite obvious. Alireza just simply played queen d5 once again, threatening mate in 1 on f7. And you know what happens after knight h6? I showed you. So there we see a grandmaster once again. I believe he is losing a piece on move 8, a full bishop. So now you see that you are not the only one who hangs a piece in the opening stage. Strong players and grandmasters also do, especially if they play an opening the wrong way. Stop playing the Philidor defense the way you play it. Don't do that. Stop it. Just stop. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because that's how you encourage me to keep on making more wonderful content just like this one. And also hit that like button to help this channel grow. Anyways, now just to make you understand further where this trap comes from, let me just show you from another move order. So this can also occur if white begins with pawn to e4, you go pawn to e5, then knight f3 instead of pawn to d6. This time you play knight c6 defending your pawn. And here white plays bishop c4, the Italian game. And then you go knight f6, the two knights defense, my favorite opening. Then white plays pawn to d4. They change their mind. They want to play an open variation of the two knights defense. Bishop g5 is also a long-term idea. The second top played move is knight takes e4, taking the free pawn, right? Because you don't care even if white takes on e5. Somehow your knight can come back to c5 and later on put it on e6, you develop your bishop, you castle short. Well, the problem is that's not what black players play. The top played move in this position is bishop c5 in the Lichess database, which is a very big blunder because of this same move, queen d5, which simply wins a free piece, at least the knight. The best that black can do here is just to sacrifice his bishop with check. And after king e2, well, there's nothing that black can do to save one of his minor pieces. Probably the knight is going to die, if not white checkmating on f7. So that's just one thing to know about the bishop c4 queen d5 line. However, let me show you the correct way of playing the Philidor defense if at all you still want to continue playing it. So after pawn to e4, e5, knight f3, d6. If white plays pawn to d4 immediately, it is high time for you to realize that you can take on d4 right away with your e-pawn, opening up the position. They are going to take back with their knight and you just develop normally. Knight f6 attacks the pawn on e4. White has to defend it. Then you go bishop e7. There are no traps here. The bishop is not yet on c4. So they'll play something like bishop e2. You castle short, they castle short. I mean, you go rook e8. By the way, the plan is very simple. Rook e8, pawn to c5. You start expanding on the queen side. That's all. There is nothing going on from the king side. NGO. I was told the word NGO means nothing going on. Please let me know if that's true in the comment section down below, but I'm just joking. So you go rook e8. I mean, there's nothing going on from this side of the board. NGO. So it is high time we shift our attention here. If they play pawn to f4, the only thing that you need to remember is this, guys. Please keep this in mind. Pawn to f4 equals pawn to c5. That's just how it works. Look, count the cells. 1, 2, 3 from the left side of the board and 1, 2, 3 from the right side of the board. So once they play pawn to f4, go pawn to c5. It's a simple rule in chess. If your opponent is playing on the king side, start playing on the queen side, or probably on the center of the board. So here we go pawn to c5. Even if you don't know why pawn to c5 is useful, just do it. They won't play knight f3 because they fear they're going to cut the communication between the rook and the pawn. So they'll probably play knight b3. And then that's when you play knight c6. Simply developing your piece here. No traps. Bishop e3, developing a minor piece. You go bishop f8. That's a prophylactic move, holding all the pawns together, including the c5 pawn indirectly. So if they play bishop f3, now look at this move. If you calculate carefully here, you will find this move, bishop f5. Take advantage of the pins. Always look out for such pins. This pawn can't take our bishop. If they take our bishop, we take the other bishop, okay? And then from here, the whole idea is to kiss. K-I-S-S. Keep it so simple. If knight d5, we take that knight, we start simplifying the game. Queen f6, rook a d8. I mean, if they don't take your bishop, or let's just say instead of bishop f3, if they play something like pawn to e5, attacking your knight, and at the same time putting more pressure on the c5 pawn, well, just play knight d7, holding onto your pawn indirectly. I mean, there are 3 things defending our pawn on c5, including this pawn here. If they take the d6 pawn, well, this is a blunder, okay? Because now the bishop on e3 becomes a free piece. So they better not do that. So that's just how to play these lines, you guys. Oh, let me show you my favorite, by the way, before I end this video. Let me show you my favorite line. So I like starting this from the rat defense, which I presented in the video that is already in the card above. Pawn to e4, d6, d4, that's what they play. Then I go knight d7, that's the rat defense. If they play knight f3, that's when I push pawn to e5. And once I see bishop c4, I automatically remember that I'm not supposed to play knight gf6 and bishop e7. If you want to know in more detail why these moves are bad and how to exactly play like a professional, you can visit my website and sign up for my free masterclass. After signing up, you are going to receive a free mini course on the rat defense, okay? So in that course, I'll show you everything that you need to know when playing the rat defense, every important stuff. This is one of my favorite defenses and a very solid one. I mean, go and get that free course. You're not gonna pay me anything. So after bishop c4, just to give you a hint, if you don't know what to do, just play pawn to c6 and continue doing your other stuffs, okay? Once you play pawn to c6, bishop e7 and knight gf6 will become valid moves. So this is all for today, you guys. Stop playing the Philidor defense the way you play it. Don't do that. Stop it. Just stop. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because that's how you encourage me to keep on making more wonderful content just like this one. And also hit that like button to help this channel